Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the PCS here for summer. We are at the penultimate week, and we are fast flying into what is going to be a pretty hectic playoffs once again. My name is Sterex. I'm joined by Mr. Clement Chu. And a quick reminder here at the PCS, sponsored by CDBC Bank. And before the match starts, thanks to Riot Games, Carry Live, and Karina for the league operation and the full production. Now, Mr. Chu, you and I were here together on Friday. It is a double week for us, and that's all the better because I think you and I had one of the most fun casts on the Friday with I don't know what you want to call it as, but it was a banger day.
Yeah, we had a lot of upsets. We had a lot of people trying out new compositions. But, I think it's pretty surprising. The trials are still here because today, out of our 9 teams playing, 3 of them are smashing the panic button and still going for roster changes. We'll find out if it works.
Oh my God, I mean, there's so much to talk about, right? Especially within the first series. And as we get closer towards it, just highlighting on what we saw on Friday, as you said, so many different crazy compositions, so many throws, up into the ceiling. And this is what happened yesterday before we go any further, though. And Clement, I think you and I were talking about it when we saw Frank last time. That's the biggest game of yesterday for me, because Frank Esports showed quite a lot when they went up against, it was CDBC Flying Oyster, and had a close call.
Yeah, and I've been saying this from the start of this split, but I do think that Frank Esports are on the cusp of just taking over Megabank Beyond Gaming's lunch money and their position in the playoffs. And it finally happened yesterday, where we did see Frank come out to another very, very strong finish with their team composition. And I think right now, Frank Esports are 1 game ahead of Mega Beyond Gaming, going very strong into the playoffs.
And I mean, they're getting up to J-Team, right? I know J-Team haven't played over this week, as you might wonder, hang on, how come J-Team is still on 8-4? Due to COVID situation, they are delayed until next week, where they'll have to be playing their games twice a day by the looks of it as well. So it's going to be a pretty full-on schedule. We'll have to see if they're able to catch up to the likes of Deep Cross Gaming, CDBC, and PSG Talent as well, who are right now sitting so comfortably, Clement, in our newly created bubble at the top of the standings.
Yeah, and to just break this down for everyone, right now there's 6 teams already guaranteed into playoffs. Everyone from Megabank Beyond Gaming and upwards has already guaranteed. They punched their tickets into the postseason. It's just about the bottom 4 team. 2 of them are going to come out. Another big thing to note today is between DCG and CTBC. They're currently 4 wins ahead of Frank Esports. So if they win today and Frank Esports loses, that means they're out of range for Frank Esports. That means they guarantee themselves into the top 4, which is hugely important in our playoff format because you get to start not only in the upper bracket, but you also get to skip you don't get to skip, but you also get side selection in the first round of the upper bracket.
Well, that's right, and even you're mentioning Frank, guaranteed in the top 4. It's very likely that you get to 12 as well. You have a good chance of getting into the top 2. I feel like at the moment with J-Team coming back and having all those matches, there's a chance that they don't catch up. And then those top 3 teams look pretty comfortable. But Clement, speaking of comfortability, I think that's going to be thrown out the window because we have 2 absolutely massive games today with 2 other games that are really important for these teams still trying to vie for playoffs. Biggest one there, sir. I don't know. I'm going to say PSG Talent and Frank Esports just purely because PSG, we know, is a slower team. Frank Esports are literally like IG Young all over again.
Yeah, they do play really fast. And this is why we laid everything out this way, because every single game today has playoff implications. Sen9 can still make it in. They're still trying to get over the 4-win mark right there. If PSG, if they beat Frank Esports, then it means a lot of reassurance for CFO and Deep Cross Gaming. But if they lose here, that means that Frank Esports can still close the gap between the J-Team universe. And then you also have CFO and Deep Cross Gaming. The bad thing for these 2 teams is that one of them has to lose. One of them still has to go to bed feeling worried that Frank Esports is on their tails.
One of those win streaks going to be stopping today as well. CDBC Flying Oyster, 7-win streak. And you look at Deep Cross Gaming, 5-win streak as well since coming up a couple of weeks ago. So, yeah, one of that story's got to end. And right now, looking like 2 of our strongest teams. But that's on later up to finish off your week, of course. We do start, Clement, with a more subtle but still important matchup. When we talked about 4 spots being open, FALCON team and Sem9 are both vying for that 7th and 8th position realistically, right? And even though there's quite a couple of games between Sem9 and FALCON team, it feels like Sem9 have shown some kind of improvement this split, and even though they are changing rosters today, this team has thrown a spanner into the works or two, as we saw on Friday most recently.
I really like the way that you put it. Basically, this roster change is the coach benching himself. Ashing is now going back to the sideline. He's going back to the water cooler. And Shidudu is going to go down to the AD carry position, while mid lane will be filled by Lazar. So we are going to a more standard setup for this team. I just basically call it just do it composition, where you put Shidudu on a hyper carry and see if he can go for you.
The Shia LaBeouf effect, right? On the other side, MetaFalcon team. Speaking of roster changes, you and I were talking about this in rehearsal. One is back in. Yeah. And you weren't a big fan of this, Clement, considering that Hong 2 has actually been one of the most successful members of MFT.
Yeah, we saw Hong 2 actually fill in with a lot more of those carry stats. His damage numbers were far better. I think it alleviated a lot of the problems on the team. And his laning phase was also better compared to Wen. Wen was more of a utility player. You know, this is someone who's been tied very closely with 665, and they try to move across the map and do counter jungle. This is what originally they were known for. However, due to the relative laning strength in the PCS, I don't think Wen actually was able to fill that role. We'll see now with his return on the roster if it's going to work out.
As we look at Sem9 yet again, we already talked about their roster swaps here. No Ashin means that maybe draft's going to be a little bit more standard, Clement, because the coach of Sem9 has played 3 roles. Ashin's played support at the start of the split, played mid in one game, jumped back to support, jumped to AD. I'm just kind of glad that what we see here looks like everyone's going to be playing their roles for once. How about that? And maybe we get normal drafts, Clement, because last time it was a bit of a nightmare seeing triple AD carry. Absolutely no way to set up themselves for success.
Yeah, I think they dropped the triple AD carry and they went back to just one AD carry actually going into the bot lane. I for one would say that's an improvement. So I feel like yesterday's draft was a very good indication about how Sem9 is going to play this one. I feel like they are going to go for hyper carry. There's a lot of options right now in the meta. Senna, Jinx, and also, of course, Zeri. A lot of them tend to be open in the draft. So you don't have to play for super, very aggressive lanes. You can actually play for hyper carry. And yesterday, they ran a Lulu Aphelios combo.
Man, I mean, look, standard's good. At the very least, if we look at jungles, I just want to take a step back and talk a little bit about 665 and Arashi coming through. Also, strong members for their roster as well, Clement, right? I think earlier in the split or even in spring, like Arashi had some really impactful Sin games. 665 is someone who, still even picking up, has been someone to watch here. Is jumping to pick momentarily. A quick touch up here is that at the moment, you know, we're looking for playoff spots. MFT in 7-9, Clement is sure they stay themselves up.
And obviously, Sem9 can still climb a much higher into the standings. They're not out of catching up distance with MFT just yet, though, you know, that's obviously quite improbable. So, you know, going to this draft, I think Sem9 are going to change up their style quite a bit. Last time we saw them with the Aphelios composition. And I do think that what they're going to try and do is actually just give Shidu more of a late game strategy to play around. I know typically when Lazar is on board, they go for these super early aggressive compositions, but just looking at the draft yesterday, I think they're going to go in a different direction. I think that MFT is one of those teams that will allow them to scale up and not pressure them too hard in the early game.
Yeah, as we said, you know, like for MFT, we've kind of looked at this team not as the strongest early game team, but I feel like how they work together as a unit, as they've all kind of come up together as well. Now, just talking quickly about the bans, that Poppy's gone away. That's a priority. We see the Wukong come through as a first pick, but Clement, you know, we've been in 12.13 now this week in PCS. Things like Talia are really big. The Yuumi, Aphelios / Zeri bottom lane, depending what's available too, is a good takeaway.
There are so many good combinations with Yuumi right now. She's pretty much risen to the must-pick or must-ban territory within the first 2 rotations right here. The Zeri Yuumi, the Wukong Yuumi, and the Sivir Yuumi, all incredibly popular. I like this from Sem9. This gives them a little bit of flexibility. I think it's really hard to lose a lane right now with Sivir just because of how much wave clear potential she has, and she also serves as a great late game carry. So, you know, 7-9 going off to, honestly, something that we pretty much expect. Oh, but this is interesting. This is one of those old school counters right here. The Lucian Nami could be available.
Okay, so Lucian Nami for Whale and Issue hasn't been played yet. That's the only thing. So this is a bottom lane that's coming in fresh for them. But yeah, as you said, this has been something that we really haven't seen too much anymore. But looking at focusing on the bottom lane for MetaFalcon team might be trying to pace the game up when we said that, you know, 7-9 might also get time to play and scale into this game, Clement. I guess that's not the case.
I have to say I was completely wrong on my predictions on where this draft was gonna go. Both sides are just buckling down and killing each other, likely in the mid game. Lazar still gonna go with his tempo picks. This is, you know, I feel very ambivalent about this because it's true Lazar usually picks these tempo champions, but he hasn't been necessarily great on it. Certainly not to the point where he's been able to dominate lane with. However, against Wen, who is also not someone who is particularly strong in lane, we could see that sort of shift up. And 7-9 very cleverly already banning away the Lissandra, pretty much the best counter to the Ahri right now. I wonder if they're going to take away something like the Swain, because I feel like the Swain is kind of a great counter to what 7-9 are going to try and do.
That's a good point. Sejuani's the first ban, though, so at least for Taco, not getting that tank top laner that we all know. But Taco's someone who's been willing to pick out the Jacks, the Gnar, the Gwens, even the Mordekaisers a couple of times as well. So I feel like right now he's not too worried about what they ban against No Name, considering he has so many options available. Clement, 2 mid laners banned on the side of 7-9. You already talked about Swain, but I guess they're just going to be willing to let it through.
Yeah, I think Sylas is a bit of a slower pick. Sure, it has greater potential when it's snowballed, but I would say Swain is definitely more of a threat since all of your carries so far are so short range. If Swain just pops that demonic essence, he's going to hit ascension, excuse me, he's going to hit everyone, and he's going to be basically healing up throughout the entire time. Oh, okay, well, they're doubling down on this. Short range melee, but fast and brutal.
Yeah, okay. So Assassin as well with Yuumi. I mean, Talon and Yuumi were kind of like that season 10, or was it season 9, Clement? I can't remember. When Talon came in for that brief window, Yuumi paired up with him, and it is just a stupid combo to watch.
I gotta say, this really gives our PCS viewers PTSD everywhere, because this is the exact combo where we saw PSG just drop out of Worlds on. So, oh boy, I gotta mentally prepare myself. This is not Worlds. We're rooting for 7-9 here.
Okay. I don't want you getting PTSD before we start, especially since MetaFalcon team on the other side. Like, you look at what this melee comp's going to play against. We're getting a little bit more close range out into the mix, it seems, with Taco locking in the Gwen that just ults and one-shots, Clement. We really don't have that much range at all so far in this game.
I'm not a huge fan of the Talia, to be honest. We have seen the Talia actually have a pretty decent laning phase versus the Ahri pre-6.
What? Dude, it doesn't matter that Shin's not here. He's like, hey guys, trust me. You know, trust me. Play Singe top. It'll be fine. And I know you're not a fan of the Talia, Clement. We can come back to that.
Okay.
But Singe versus Gwen. Good luck telling me about that matchup.
I actually like it for the Singe. I mean, sure, he's not going to win lane, but he can always walk away. What's not to like about that?
He doesn't have to be in the lane, just proxy. I guess is always an option.
So, I actually really like the Singe pick. I think it gives them a lot of durability. It's a lane that can split push, and a lot of times split push even when he's losing the one-on-one.
Sure.
And, you know, I think if you can split members from the opposing team, then this sort of high mobility tempo composition on the other side of the map can work out just fine. So, last pick, I love this from No Name. He is known to be a bruiser player. Stuff like the Darius, the Singe here definitely feels right at home for him.
True. It's like, you left Darius open this time, but I'm going to take a right swing anyway. I was going to ask you a little bit about how the comps scale out a bit, Clement, because, you know, we have Gwen on Summoner's Rift. We have a Sivir on the other side with a Yuumi. And, you know, Singed as well in late game becomes like a bit of a nuisance. Pretty good wave clear depending on the build. And also someone that, alongside with his talent, has insane mobility.
So, After the last two picks, I actually am shifting over towards being more of a Sem9 believer in this one. I know the stats don't indicate it, but Talia for me in this composition is way too dangerous. I feel like the swing would have been safer in terms of the assassination potential coming in from the the Talon. And also just the Ahri in the later phases of the game as well. I feel like this MFT draft is very much dependent on bot lane Snowball to kind of carry through here. I don't see the Gwen as being as powerful as they might have hoped here, because I actually feel like Sem9 have a lot of mobility to run away from the Gwen.
That's true. Not having to run in or run in, run out. It's going to be fun watching how they play this mobility, as you're talking about. No Name with Ghost and TP, Unsealed Spellbook, and rocking the Californian Singe. So feels good to see Sem9 top laner once again pulling out a unique pick, Clement. When we talked about the stakes for this game, 1-13 versus 4-9, people are like, oh, Sem9 should be out, but Sem9's still hanging on by a thread, and because MetaFalcon team are sitting just barely at 8th, there is still a chance that Sem9 make the miracle run. However, near impossible to challenge MetaFalcon team and keep them down and try and get in playoffs for the first time this year.
Hey, let's go. So Singe is spotted out here, but he doesn't decide to actually try and proxy, just clearing out the top side, making sure they know where the jungler is. But on the meantime, we also see an invade coming in from MFT. So this is still going to be a big win for MFT. Sure, they get spotted out top, but hey, it doesn't matter because we're just going to take over your bottom side jungle.
Well, I mean, vertical jungling on the Lucian Nami lane and getting the attention down there in the 2v2. For Sem9, good luck to Share Dudu and Caspiel as Arashi sees it and then starts heading towards his top path. And notice as well, at least No Name Clement dropped a couple of wards in the enemy blue side jungle, so Arashi has the option to counter jungle and hit that vertical side as well if he wants.
Yeah, but we have to remember the vertical side for MFT is much better because that one is actually a kill lane. There's crowd control, there is wave shove. While on the top side, I just don't see this Gwen dying. Like, this Singe is not going to kill Gwen here, even with the chance for a Talon tower dive. So if I'm looking at this, I feel like the MFT side played the level 1 much, much smarter. They know that, okay, so Singe is just going to do this. As a jungler, how do you help the Singe? The answer is you're not really going to help this.
Oh, execute. Yep. Don't want to give the kill over. He's got TP. Arashi. Oh my god, don't die to Krugs, please. Look, please, Arashi. He's going back for it. However, Krugs still hitting him, and we're just watching with bated breath. Send out the rake.
Yes, mate.
Yeah. Okay, he's okay. He times it well, and of course hits level 3, but we're looking sketchy on both sides, Clement.
It definitely did, and that was just because Arashi took a lot of damage early on level 1 when he was trying to get his blue buff. He then had to deal with the Raptors first, which used both of his pots, and he's incredibly unhealthy at this point. So, again, I still think that this is really difficult for a Talon. Talons typically don't like to take this side of the map anyway. This is all single targets. Your rake doesn't really help you that much on this side of the map. So I do think MFT will be able to secure quite a big lead in the bottom side, and then the question will be, can they use that to then snowball into the Herald or snowball the Drakes earlier on?
So far, not that much of a CS lead, but I'm more concerned about what top loses rather than the gain of MetaFalcon team Lucian Nami as well. Runs in aggressively. Plate getting close down here, by the way, just to check in. But yeah, as I was saying, I mean, there's full vision now here for Sem9. For MetaFalcon team on Arashi, who is slowly whittling away the jungle camp, and because of that, MetaFalcon team have good tracking on where he is. While you can already see the gold might not be in the lead, but bottom side is still working their magic, and No Name's back to doing what he was doing before.
Yeah, and I do want to say, I think No Name is going to be absolutely critical in this game. Like, he has so many ways he can impact the map, the split push going through, and also just the fact that he can go in. He does have the opportunity to swap over to something like a flash and just pull when out of position. You can't really cleanse out of disposition with that one. Ooh.
Nice trade. Yeah, Shadudu getting low. Whale the same though. Clement, remember you and I did talk about like level 3 Lucian Nami, what happens? You burn the trade and it might give an opportunity for 65 to come in. I mean, Shadudu and Caspiel is The Yuumi walks towards. Lazar's now moving down as well, but 665 simply adding pressure as the bottom lane will back away. So nice stuff there set up from Wild.
Yeah, I have to say overall, Shadudu and Caspiel actually played this quite nicely. They kept their HP levels high. We didn't see a dive potential coming in from 665. And honestly, they're not even that far behind in terms of the farm. So well done to the Sun 9 bot lane.
Oh, hang on, good charm. Cleanse comes out, flash here from Win, and Arashi not needing to burn his. So finally on the map is this Talon.
Yeah, and this is where the matchup starts to flip. We have said before that, sometimes Talia can actually get ahead of the pre-6 Ahri. Afterwards, though, this is where it gets dangerous. I don't feel like this Talia is going to get much of a chance to roam. Arashi has tons of kill threat on her. Talia is not a champion that deals really well with these champions that can just rush at her face. And we also have to, kind of remind everyone that this is the patch where we see all of those assassin items get extra movement speed. So very easy for you to just follow up on a Talia, regardless of that rock sword or not.
Mr. Chu, do you know if you can hop over the Weaver's wall for a good smite away? Do you know if you can hop over the... Yeah, it counts as like a wall, right? At the very least, I'm sure we'll see the interaction. So it's nice to look at something that kind of has that interaction in the game. As we look back and Dragon's being taken by Meta Falcon team, as you'd expect, Mr. Chu, with bot side being so prioritized.
Yeah, just coming off of the vertical jungle. I believe they do have a plate here as well, and this is a strong item buy for them. Noon Quiver, of course, more for the wave shove potential, but Serrated Dirk, he definitely would use that to hit champions. So I would say MFT still very, very strong on this bottom side, as we see Ishu take a...
Just walk into him. I mean, look at this, with Prescient Sack. Oh, it hurts. Aqua Prison's so close. And Whale almost hitting level 6 here. I believe they just turned over, but should be in a couple of waves where that kill threat continues to excel. 15 CS lead as Shadudu just has to use the Boomerang Blade to even get near the rest of the minions.
Yeah, and we have to look at the way Shadudu is playing this. He's always holding on to his spell shield for the Aqua Prison. That one is the deadliest one there is. Everything else, the Lucian can actually pop the spell shield rather easily. Of course, on 12.13, Sivir is going to get a bit of HP back, but you really want the crowd control to go through. So we see Shadudu playing the trades very cautiously. He's always holding on to his E until the last moment, until he sees the Aqua Prison.
Hang on, meanwhile, Arashi's a bit of trouble. Smite gets him 6 as well. Flash over the wall, and Arashi will get it with the help of Gromp, but his Meta Falcon team still have another cycle and the movement speed used to get near the bottom lane, going all in. This is overly ambitious as the ulti from Arashi sets up for first blood. 665 without the ulti, that was just so silly. As Ishu now under turret takes the shot, almost dies. Caspiel running after it. As Whale and One now escaping, but the ultimate comes through. And Ishu with added damage too. One and Whale looking for the chase as that seismic shove so close. But in the end, ends up being a 1-for-1 trade of junglers.
Yeah, MFT definitely a little bit over-aggressive after the great trade onto Arashi there. So we're going to watch this again. Arashi gets caught with his pants down. He's trying to double camp this one. Trying to pull the SOFM. 665 gets the ultimate off here. And he still has a Cyclone charge to get closer. But this was definitely going in a little bit too fast. He gets caught out by the Foxfire. Really unlucky right there. And this is a great bubble here on the other side. Arashi actually tried to wall hop that and got stopped by the Aqua Prison. That was a 200 IQ Aqua Prison from Ishu. I'm not sure if that was intentional or not, but
let's say it was. Yeah, let's say it was, dude. Let's give him the credit for it. We come back and, for Meta Falcon team, before, it was actually a 1-for-1. I was right on the money. But look at where the kills went, Clement. Yeah, Arashi picked up one, but you see that Whale got the return. Noon Quiver, Serrated Dirk, this Lucian Nami lane set up more than ever for success, and Meta Falcon team start up this Herald. You can already see that it's not going to be a trade-off for Stem 9 with nothing else really to take apart from these camps.
Like this move from MFT, they come out of that fight with a win. They go directly towards the top side. And this is the interesting thing about the Singed is Yes, he's very good at just going into your lane, but he's not actually that great at contesting these early skirmishes as bot lane.
Wales by himself gets out with a cleanse, but that Shadow Assault helps it out as over the wall. No, Arashi going to be poked down and it's way too late. Again, Issue carrying these fighter teams. Poke from one, almost insane enough to get the kill. Shadudu survives, but Meta Falcon team are bridging this goal ahead.
Yeah, Sem9, I don't think they factored in how fast Wen could actually be in the fight right there. So they try to go for a 4-man dive in response.
Nami solo kill? I don't know. I don't know, Issue. I don't know about that one.
Ooh.
Okay, I respect the courage.
Indeed.
We'll
watch this one again. This is going to be a 4-man, but they thought it was a 4v2. Wen actually arrives on the scene rather quickly, is able to cut off the roof from Lazar, force him to use extra dashes here, and even gets caught by the Aqua Prison. So overall, that was a great trade for MFT. They get the Herald, they nearly take the mid lane tower, and they equalize the kill spot too.
Well,
not after Issue.
Yeah. I know. We're cutting that one out because Issue, it did tip the balance a little bit back, but as we come back to live, with that first turret already taken down in the mid lane, 2 plates available spot. We do come back after Herald has been used, by the way, so that's why MFT right now is sitting at a 2k gold lead at 11 minutes in the game with their first dragon, with the second one coming up as well. And honestly, with Divine Thunder versus Youmuu's Ghostblade, with Sem9 looking for a lot before this neutral is now starting to be taken.
Yeah, I feel like MFT have found themselves a great lead
Flip
right
him.
here. No name. Let's see
Flip
if we
him.
can get something over Taco.
Gwen's ulti, not fun to verse. Well, No Name survives the majority of the damage, but that's Ghost, and that's ulti burnt from the top lane singed as Meta Falcon team, Clement, are going to draw that Singe into a dragon fight in 2 objectives time. I think that might be an issue.
He's definitely not going to be tanky enough at that point. If you look at how far Lucian is ahead, ooh, this is rough, but we do have the Yuumi Talon combination here. Maybe they can catch Wen out. I will say, though, Wen very cleverly already has the stopwatch ready. That was a very early purchase. He didn't go for mythic item first.
665 just waiting for it. Yeah, look. You know, intelligent or not, Clement, I just come back to, well, with that small win in the jungle and bot lane about to get the turret as well, just look at what's happening topside. You know, Arashi and Caspiel moving together. Plates are still available, but Singe doesn't really clobber these down.
No, he does not. He's very slow against the towers here. This is a problem with Singe, I think, in competitive. Yes, he can dirty farm, but he's not really a threat against your tower.
Here we go, though. Hang on, Talon's coming to the mix. The 665 starts bidding for the Cyclone. 2-man Cyclone as he's got no one to help him. The flip, the poison. No Name wants to kill. The flash failed, and the poison kills him anyway. Oh, dear Lord. 665, that wasn't great.
No, that was that was rather tragic, and well, it's always a danger giving Talon kills, because if Talon gets fed enough, then he can realistically just go into your backline and snipe out someone like the Legion, snipe out someone like the Talon. Sure, the durability patch is there, but you still have to be very aware of the kill threat here coming in from the Talon. And we do have to remember that this Talon is actually a little bit more accelerated as well, because he is running that first strike, so he should have a bit more of that extra gold he got from the kills here.
Yeah, well and truly onto the way to that second lethality item. Youmuu's already picked up, as I said before, and with the Yuumi, movement speed now his best friend, but even though we're complimenting Sem9 into how they executed that play, Meta Falcon team are the real winners. Mid, bot, full plating, 1,600 gold. 50 CS lead for Whale versus Shadudu. Clement, that is going to be a completed second item, most likely before Shadudu has any other component heading into his.
Absolutely here, and well, could just go for the collector, try to snowball this a little bit more.
True.
And I feel like for Sem9, they still need a couple of more kills onto Arashi. That's the most important part here. I feel like Shadudu at this point, you can tell that he almost never sees his support. His support is basically an estranged member of family. And here we go.
As that could be the setup, the flash from Lazar, but it doesn't connect as the tidal wave comes through. Sem9 execution, a bit whack with Shedu coming in, and they finally get it. However, with 665 willing to go in, he's got to worry about No Name, who had the fling available, sends the monkey backwards, and as he goes golden, that insanity potion is still ticking. The movement speed, he gets out. Thank Caspiel for that one, as the seismic shove makes the trade, but somehow it begins with Sem9, and it also ends with them two.
Sem9 actually getting the better side of the trade there. Lucian goes down. Oh, when?
But now Wen's in the middle. Oh, he burst him though. Lazar, can he turn it around? He has the charm in a second, but instant cleanse away as the threaded volley, the flash over. 1-1v2s, and Meta Falcon team bring it right back in.
Oh boy, Wen is trying to prove that he deserves to be in the starting roster here, going in and saving the situation. That was a clear Sem9 win. After that, they get the flash from Whale. They kill the most fed member on the team, but then in the back swing, Wen able to get the 1v2 there. Absolutely critical play. I did not expect the amount of burst damage going onto the Talon. We'll watch this again. So it doesn't actually work out at the start for MFT, but I think here we see a critical mistake by Whale. He actually, goes in trying to chase Lazar. Definitely not good for his health. He goes down here, and afterwards, No Name is able to close on 665. But this is where the things start getting a little bit messy right here. We see Shedu actually use his spell shield a little bit too early. Wasn't blocking the Aqua Prison or the seismic shove. Just kind of walked in with the spell shield there. So he goes down afterwards. When already with one kill coming in this one. And this was a dicey moment. This is definitely a little bit dicey.
Meanwhile, he comes back, and speaking of dicey, Whale in the thick of it again. But this time his challenge worked out with Caspiel now remounting. Onto No Name, who's taking the needlework, and Taco does so much damage with the third portion already. This Meta Falcon team, the kill score might be close, Clement, but 6,000 now is how they're taking over Sem9. Oh my God.
Rashi's still not at that point. When?
Oh, so close. So close to Shedu who died. And yeah, you know what, Clement? A lot of people aren't at that point, as you were going to say.
I think that at this point, once Whale can start surviving that first damage from Arashi, I feel like Arashi hasn't snowballed all that much after the power spike coming in from Wen. It gets a lot harder because he's going in as a two-man. If you look at the rest of the squad, there really isn't that much dive potential from everyone else. So we'll watch that again, how that started out. When we came back into the replay, it was looking like Whale going onto the enemy, and it, Lazar just got straight up hard punished by that engage. He misses the charm. Whale able to pick him up quite easily, and then we see another great play coming in from Issue. Aqua Prison being on point throughout this entire game.
Apart from his one moment where he decided to face check into, people backing up the three members of Spotted Bot. Everything else has been pristine outside of that, Clement. Even the Weaver's Wall now are getting one into range. Lazar stunned up, and you think the Ari's going to be fine, but once again, Ulti Pop almost dies in the process. Better mid laner right now, Clement. I think one has moved so much more than we were expecting.
Absolutely here. 4-0-1, and just the Tempest burst is kind of surprising on this Taliyah. Of course, Taliyah has very, very high ratios, but you typically need to land a couple of those pebbles to actually for the damage to go through. Not this Taliyah. This Taliyah is so fed at this point that just the initial salvos can burst someone down to around half HP and force people to go out. So Sem9 have a lot of difficulty in closing out these team fights. I think they need to kite around. They need to dodge Wen's abilities, and then they also need to take him down first, which is, at this point, it looks a little too hard to do. I feel like Sem9 need to go into these silence and start trying to make picks rather than running into the full squad of MFT.
True, because each time they engage is picked, kind of by 669 by one, finding a pick off the back end, or even Whale setting it up. He's so confident going forward. And as Herald gets placed up in this top side, look at the waves that are starting to crash on in. Inner turret threatened by Whale himself. Inner turret broken in the top side through this Herald. And even Bot is going to be shoving towards the inhibitor turret where members of Sem 9 are going to have to split up and react.
Absolutely, and we do have a fairly early Mountain Soul coming up. This is probably the worst soul that could go over to MFT if you're looking at it from the vantage point of Sem 9. This is the anti-burst soul, and you are trying to play the burst backlines. You have to kill the Lucian, you have to kill the Talia. So I feel like Sem 9 need to have some great plays here. They need more picks on Arashi.
Caught out, Tidal Wave comes through, but Whale with the culling as well, doing so much damage. Still willing to go in, but No Name sprinting at him, a fling, a Weaver's Wall. Whale flashes out with the boomerang play, getting him on the cusp, but as Taco rolls in, remember Gwen's ult, he just needs to wait a second. Need to work part 2, as Taco needs to step up for the next portion, but No Name plays zone control. So teleport burn there, Clement, and it wasn't even Dragon time yet with Issue die.
That was a great find for Sem 9. They get the flash from Whale, they get the TP and the summoner from Taco, and they still can't pull the same ultimate combo when it comes into the Mountain Soul next time. So that's exactly what they needed to do. I love that they caught Issue on Vision and just went in for the play right there. So Sem 9 definitely not backing down just yet, and they have a great opportunity in this next fight to just catch Whale out again.
It's so easy so far, right? Like, Whale steps up. He kind of asked for it at times, Clement. But, you know, Issue on the ward there as well for Sem 9 gives him such a great opportunity. A minute till we get to this Dragon that you were talking about before, and even though that pick was good and got some gold back in their pocket, they're still down 6,000 gold. And Clement, I wanted to ask you, as maybe I don't have time because MFT tried to set up a cheeky little Baron. Maybe I'm okay. I was going to ask you a little bit about item differences here and how much it'll play in the upcoming fight, because we do now have 5 mythics for both teams. Second item for everyone pretty much as well.
Yeah, I would say that MFT definitely in the lead here, just in the items department. If they land any crowd control, Gwen just fires off and someone's dead on the side of Sem 9. So right now it's rather easy for MFT to actually play this one. Just
going dull. Look at him. Gwen. Yeah, Charm and Sem 9 are split up. In fact, as No Name tries to come in off an angle, but the Meta Falcon team, what was burnt was the cleanse only. Whale didn't have the flash before that. As there is going to be a slight HP advantage. We'll see if Yuumi can heal it up as Dragon spawns in 3 seconds, and Sem 9 need this for the game's longevity.
Yeah, I think at the very least, Arashi needs to find an angle for a steal. I don't think they can take this straight 5v5, so this should be just get a steal and try to burn.
The wall ambition from one, maybe not, maybe it's third because they got nowhere to go. One is their death. And when a Sem 9 going to be able to find anything as Arashi jumps in for the smite steal? No, he comes in early. Denied in this game, denied in spring, and it looks like denied in summer is going to be the story of our bottom place team.
Beautiful stuff coming in from Wen. The cutoff, and instantly everyone just rushes in. They know they have the slow coming in from Nami. You have the Cyclone knocking everyone up. And look at Shedudu. He doesn't even get a chance to flash before MFT just take his life. So that was a beautiful team fight where basically Arashi and Shedudu weren't able to get anything off just before falling down. MFT, they get the Mountain Soul plus the Baron. This is looking like MFT about to take themselves outside of range.
It would be so good for them. Remember at the moment that for the PCS, 7 is magic number, but each couple of games will continue changing. Now, as we look at this, Clement, this is such an ambitious Weaver's Wall, and he doesn't get punished.
It was so good, and look at the positioning there from the top side. He gets the double knockback on the Weaver's Wall into the seismic shove onto Sivir. That couldn't be more perfect if you script him in.
And the damage coming through from Taco while they're sitting on top, you can see the difference. Meta Falcon team, the gold has gone beyond 10,000. They got a Mountain Soul, and because it's only 24 minutes in the game, I feel for No Name, who so far hasn't really been talked about, but even as a Singe in the side lane, he's going to have such a hard game ahead of him, Clement, as with that Dragon Soul, Meta Falcon team confident enough to continue this push in the side lane, in mid, and Sem 9 just ripped back out of their own jungle yet again.
Yeah, I was really curious about how the Singe was going to work. I was optimistic that he could just kite back, but MFT deals so much damage right now that I feel like the burst is just going to kill him. So, I'm trying to think of a way that Sem9 can get back into this one, and it would happen when Gwen is out.
Oh shit, dude. No more Sivir, I think. The spell shields haven't been on point, and the tidal wave definitely have from issue. Yet again, as Whale brings out the culling to kill that assassin jungle. Whale cleans it up as Gwen over the wall. Doesn't matter that he gets charmed. An instant cleanse, and Sem9 are being skill gapped. Clement, it might be really hard to say this, but it feels like that has been the story. In spring, in summer, Sem9 is struggling to make impact, and change around your roster as much as you like. Feels like there's going to be a lot more development needed here. For our bottom tier team, that's going to end 1-14 at the end of our penultimate week.
And that's a huge sigh of relief coming into the MetaFalcon team, because they advanced to 5 wins, which takes them out of range of Sem9. They have one less team to worry about for taking over the playoff spot. Of course, you still have a Jewish team behind them that could catch up there. So, you know, they're not completely out of danger, but they have one less opponent to worry about.
That's right. And look, with the way things are going, right, as you said at the start of the 4 games left for our teams. Outside of J-Team, of course, they've got some catching up to do.
Yep.
And Jewish team can only reach 6. MetaFalcon team, all they need to do is win yet another, and then they have the chance of tying up, and then we look towards whether the Jewish team take another loss. It's pretty simple math at the moment. And I have to say, Clement, we can look at the positives first, and what I was about to let on is the fact that that vertical jungling at the start felt like it did so much, considering the Lucian Nami lane was set up for success and partook in the 10 plates that we got out of them in the first 12 minutes.
Yeah, the issues here really were I think there was 2 main plays earlier on. The vertical jungle, like you said, absolute genius from MFT. And then the second play was when we saw the Herald trade going down. MFT were able to take Herald. They were able to get a huge chunk in the top lane. And on the flip side, Sem9 actually botched their 4v2 play right there. They actually traded back the kills, which meant a huge loss of tempo. And then they lost mid during all of that. So I just feel like this was definitely a playable draft from Sem9. I think if they held on a little bit closer to the early game, they could have played this one out. It was definitely a good idea. We saw in the mid game where they chased up onto, honestly, not the greatest game coming in from Whale. He gave over a couple kills. There were some opportunities there, but boy, oh boy, did Wen put an end to that.
Oh yeah, Wen had a great game on the again. That Weaver's Wall in front of Dragonclan was a 4-man Weaver's Wall. It was perfect. It was ambitious. It was aggressive. You love to see it from some of the best players, and seeing it from Wen here when he's just come back in after Hong 2 had been playing the past couple of weeks. Wen's welcome back with open arms at this point, because I think that's a very good refresher for him, Clement, when, I don't know, yeah, it wasn't about the laning phase, but his mid-game was insane.
Absolutely. Just getting that 3-kill piece right in front of the second Herald, I think that just swung the game completely wide open. Afterwards, we did see Sem9 with one good pick onto Issue and Whale again, but it was just a little bit too hard to execute. We saw that MFT never really gave them a chance. They didn't split up. And on the flip side, I just feel like the Singe seemed a little bit too slow. Wasn't able to threaten the tower by himself. He clears waves really fast. He's hard to catch. But the rest of the 4-man team needed a lot of help with these Weaver walls and just one-shot combos coming in from Whale.
Oh, yeah.
Coming in from Wen, sorry.
Oh, I mean, no, but at the end it was Whale too, but Wen does deserve the MVP. We talked him up so much in this game. I feel like really not enough in the grand scheme of things, because Wen came out as quite achiever out of the lane, Clement, and then took over. And even though it's against Sem9, like, this is a really good sign for MetaFalcon team, who we were saying we're struggling quite a bit. I think, I can't remember what game it was, Clement. It was, maybe it was the Impunity win, where I was a little bit, sus as what was going on. MetaFalcon team, when they're up against some of these better teams, like CFO, Beyond Gaming, DCG, get absolutely smashed. But here today, the shot calling was smooth, I'll say.
Yeah.
Whale and Issue have their own issues, no pun intended, but the shot calling was a lot smoother than I think we've seen out of most MetaFalcon team games.
Absolutely. If Meta Falcon team get out of their lanes okay, they actually look like a pretty decent team. They run around the map together, they make plays. It's just the laning phase that they need to get past.
Well, are they going to Worlds? I don't think so. However, I don't know, Clement. Maybe I'm going to add some more hope for Meta Falcon team, but at the very least, a win against Sem9 is a good win for them. However, will we be saying the same for Frank Esports as they go up against PSG next? I don't know, but that one is going to be a barn burner after this break.